Hey everybody, Jim Messina, Vintage Drums Talk once again. I'm in Chicago at the 2015 Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show. This is the 25th anniversary. Things are going strong. Let's go take a look at this show. Welcome to Chicago. Jim Messina here, VintageDrumsTalk.com at the Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show 2015, and it's the 25th anniversary. Look who's here, Jim Catalano. Jim, how you doing, my friend?
Good to see you again. All right.
Good to see you. Man, every year I love to stop by your booth and have a little chat with you.
Great.
What's going on so far? 25 years, what do you think?
Well, you know, I've been to all but two of these events and stuff, and this one has been the best yet.
Great.
You know, it's great that it's 3 days, and so, you know, we're just having a great time selling a lot of product, but also showing a lot of new gear that lUDWIG has, like our legacy mahoganies, etc.
Okay.
Yeah. So, this is a place where we move a lot of our one-off snare drums.
Yes.
Things that we make up, like special ones that are even right in front of us. Where,
I see, yeah,
you know,
nice.
it's something we haven't marketed, but we'll make up a shell, and then we'll bring it to the show, sell it at a super price. And same thing with hardware. Hardware that we use like at other shows that doesn't go back in its original box, we'll bring it to this show and sell it to the gigging working drummer so they can buy it way cheaper than they could get it any other place.
There's another reason to come to the show. I keep trying to tell you guys, the deals are here. And not everything's way out of the hemisphere. And this is lUDWIG stuff, the good stuff. You can get it at a good deal. So you've been here for all these years, except for two. You've seen the evolution. What changes have you seen over the 25 years?
Well, first of all, the whole show has always been a family atmosphere. Okay, it's our brothers of drummers, but people that are passionate about drums and passionate about drumming.
Yes.
And that's what we love about it. Yes, it is about the gear in a way, but there's another spirit beyond that that is what's infectious for us. Okay, so obviously it keeps getting bigger.
Yes, yes.
So that's great. We have great artists that are appearing, and you know, and it looks like the marketing was done pretty good to bring out a crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Well, you know, I've been here, several years, and I've seen the growth. And there is, this just happens to be 25 years, and next year's going to be a big move for the show. We're all talking about it. It's kind of a buzz around here. Where do you see the show going?
Well, you know, from what I know about the change, the one thing I will say is change is always hard. Okay?
Some say change is good. Some say change is hard.
That's right. And one of the things that we really love about this particular event for us so far in this venue is that we have our trucks parked right back outside. So when we sell a product, we just take it outside, throw it in the box, and away we go.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay? You know, the new venue, we may not be able to do that, so we'll have to rethink it through.
Have you been to the new venue?
We understand it's beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, and I have not been to it, but I'm just going by what I've seen as far as the drawings, etc. Yeah.
So I guess growth is happening, and you can't stop progress, right? Everybody has their opinions. Some think it's a great move. Others have other opinions. I think are they coupling with a guitar show?
Well, I mean, that will be a bit different, but hopefully they'll be separate enough that we won't notice that there's a guitar show.
Okay.
That's what we're hoping for anyways. Yeah. The other thing we always are concerned about is this show is unique in that it is just drums and just this family, okay? This is not a NAMM show.
Right.
We don't treat it like a NAMM show. We treat it as a selling show, okay? NAMM show is a tire kicking show, okay? And so, you know, so there's that concern that is the Chicago Drum Show going to become more of a corporate kind of a show with the change and the new venue, and now having to shift things in and having to go through Freeman for all the drayage, and that can be very expensive. One other thing is it's an element of cost. When we're budgeting these shows, the Chicago show is a very cost-effective show for us. Number one, our offices are in Elkhart, Indiana, 130 miles away from St. Charles. So they'll be even a little bit closer with the new venue because O'Hare area is where it'll be. but the overall costs are always a concern from hotels, from drayage with the shipping companies, just the cost of the event. So it's an unknown. And the thing is that our budgets for 2016 are going to be finalized in about a month.
All right.
And so therefore, if the cost of attending the show exceeds what we already have budgeted, which because we don't really know what it's going to be yet, that's the kind of thing that could alter at the level that we participate.
Let's figure the average exhibitor here who is not part of a corporation or anything, that could probably get pretty strenuous for them, a change like that, because obviously booth costs are going to have to go up. You've got parking situations. I really wonder if that's going to separate or weed out some old timers maybe.
It could. I mean, the thing that is unique about this show is we have door. We have all these doors, and when it's time for people to be bringing stuff in, all the doors are open up and everybody brings their stuff in. If we have to now go through Freeman, which is the drayage company, at a show, and everything has to be paid, and you got to pay union wages, which can be as much as $100 an hour. Okay, now for a smaller dealer, that would be a very
killer.
It'll be a killer. It will be a game changer.
I believe so.
But it's even a game changer for the corporate companies like a lUDWIG, to say that, wow, our costs could go up. So, but we don't know any answers yet. Okay, and until we see it all written down in paper, we don't know what's going to happen. So we don't want to get too concerned, but we have to make decisions within the next month or so.
Right.
And the thing is that we love the vibe of this show now. Change is hard.
Yes.
And so it could be that the vision that Rob and his staff have for this show is going to make this show even grander and bigger and more productive for us all. And with that, it's going to increased costs, okay? And in time, if it's successful and we're there for many, many years, then we probably won't want to change. But for right now, it's a hard thing to conceive simply because this is such a family event.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Rob is taking all that into consideration. He's done this for 25 years. I guess the guy knows a little bit of what he's talking about, just like you do.
He's a good businessman. He has a good, clear head on his shoulders.
And so do you.
All right.
Jim Catalano, guys. He's been with us for years. Always a pleasure talking to you, Jim.
Great talking to you, too.
Great outlet, I'll tell you. All right, guys, we'll be back. Well, what can I say? 25th anniversary Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show 2015. Here I am, as promised, with Tony Lewis.
Hey!
He's pulling out the stops, man. As everybody else, Tony, good to see you, my friend.
Right.
I love it being here with you because you always bring some primo things. Look at this. I don't know where to start. You got a favorite drum here?
Well, let's actually start with these two right here.
Right here.
Yeah. These, John Aldridge here back in the late 90s. He was working with Slingerland. These are two of his products here when he was working with Slingerland. Both brass, one's copper, one's brass, hand engraved by the master, John Aldridge.
Yeah, he really has made a name for himself with the engraving, hasn't he?
Yeah, and not only did the engraving, but the knowledge as well. The man literally wrote the book.
I mean,
we got to pay homage to John. There's a whole lot of us here.
Rob Cook, they were the forerunner, the pioneers. So
they laid the foundation.
Look at, can I tilt this up here?
Absolutely.
Listen, boy, now these are heavy. That's heavy. Sheesh. We have a nice price tag. First day of the show, guys. Look at this. Oh, okay. Look at this lovely engraving. That is beautiful. Now, what year was this?
Late 90s, 2000.
Okay. Let's see if we can see inside. Just beautiful. Now these drums, look, he's got his initials. John has a way of, kind of putting a signature on the inside. I don't know if your cameras could pick that up, but this is really cool. Beautiful. John's making a name for himself, really, with his drums. And he's doing a lot of commission work? I don't know if he's doing stuff for
Well, he's actually on tour right now, last I knew.
Oh, yeah.
And John Aldridge, we miss you. We miss you at these shows, John.
Very nice. All
right, this is actually number 4 or 5. And
look
this
at
is
this. It's signed, John. There you go.
And this is actually number 1 of 4 right here.
Talk about rare. You know, it's funny, in Mike Corrado's book, remember his book that he put on his car? Well, he talks about future collectibles.
There it is.
That's what you're looking at, a future. Look, #1, John Aldridge, signed by John Aldridge, #1 future collectible. This is primo, man.
You know, if you think about it too, an engraved Slingerland brass drum. I mean, we all know the Slingerland Black Beauty. Well, this is probably the closest you're going to come to it in real time.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you.
Well, think 60 years from now.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Kids are going to be looking at these and say, oh, man, you had,
Right.
Really, I mean.
They're going to be like, Dad, I love you.
Yeah. All right, here we go. I recognize this. Tell me about this.
This is an original top hat and cane, 1940s. Originals, not a remake. It's the real deal.
Because they put these out. Who was it that had the that they modeled it after? They did when they did the reissues.
Right. Jack Lawton was doing it for a while.
Yes.
And
man,
I'm not sure who else is
doing it. This is original. Look at the shape that this is in.
Well, this drum's in exceptionally good condition. If you look at the hardware, even to the calfskin head, you've got the lUDWIG logo with the cow.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't find that's the type of stuff.
Nothing's been touched on this. You just cleaned it up.
Just cleaned it up. Actually, this drum belongs to Don Bennett, at Don Bennett Studios. He actually has the entire kit. And Mr. Bennett will be here later this afternoon.
Right, we'll be talking to him.
Yep. So
this is beautiful.
Now, friend of mine,
but do you own this?
No, this is actually Don's.
This is fantastic. You know, it's hard to find these in original without any flaws in the finish. That pattern.
Cracking, you know, it's a nice drum.
Now, a lot of people call this, top hat and cane. I don't know who coined that, but it's really what, the top hat?
Well, they call it, actually the catalog 1941 says top hat and cane.
Oh, it does? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. This is just beautiful. Now, Tony, I'll tell you, this is some nice stuff you brought. You've been at this show for how many years now?
Oh, gosh.
Out of 25 years.
I'd say probably 17 out of the 25.
Okay, so you were here years ago. You've seen the changes that how this show has grown, right?
That's correct.
We were in a smaller building before here at the Kane County Fairgrounds in St. Charles, Illinois, and then we moved into this newer building, and I understand there's going to be yet another change next year. The show, I believe, is moving. I'm sure you're aware of it. I'd like to get your take on how you think the show is progressing, what has happened since you've been here for so long, and here we go, going to move into what, some big expo center with combining with the guitar show that goes on around the same time. Where do you think this show is heading and what's going on? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, we were in a very small area. And the profile of this show has changed twofold. I mean, we went to industry. We have industry now here, such as some of the major players that are commercial industry. And we still have some of the mom and pop, the homeboys like me.
Yeah.
You know, the ones who do this as a hobby. You know, we were just talking about this. Mike Corrado and I were just talking about this last night over Steve Maxwell's, where we missed the days where someone would pull up in a van and they're like, hey, you want to buy some drums? And there's all these really cool drums in there. But moving forward, I personally think it's a good idea. I mean, Rob Cook, you know, we have to look at his leadership. And Rob has literally single-handedly built this. Well, and Rob Cook, John Aldridge, like we mentioned before.
Yeah.
Bill lUDWIG. Of course, we got to pay homage to lUDWIG because a lot of this is their foundation.
Yeah.
But we have to trust Rob Cook's leadership. And if he thinks it's the best idea to move closer to the city, I've been hearing that the Expo Center is going to be closer to Chicago. That can feed from a major city. You know,
closer to the airport.
Closer to the airport, which I've already heard compliments of that regarding as far as travel and convenience. As far as combining with the guitar show, the guitar collectors is a different breed than the drum collectors.
Yeah.
You know, that I don't know about because truly it's like, you know, it's like an elephant and a duck. You know, there's no, you know, it's like two different breeds there.
Right, and as far as I've noticed, in the several years that I've been covering the show, that the vintage factor is hanging in there, but I see the custom factor growing. I mean, this year in the center of the facility here, we have a whole array of booths out there now that where they were never there before. A lot of custom companies are coming in here. And some people would say that, well, it's not a vintage drum show anymore. It's becoming more like a general drum show, almost like the NAMM show, something like that. But we're
yeah. Well, you know, I can see, you know, I think for some of us old timers, some of us grassroots individuals, you know, we have seen the evolution and how the show has grown. But one thing too, if you notice in Rob's advertisement, it says vintage and custom.
Yes.
Rob's a smart guy.
Yeah.
So he opens the door to the drum maker in the basement who's building them from scratch, to the collector like myself, and
right?
Corrados and Mark
sure.
Cooper, you know, and then he also leaves the door open for the industry. So it's a big melting pot, you know, for us all to be able to enjoy.
Very good. You heard it from Tony Lewis. There's his opinion. He's a top collector. What a guy. Tony, always a pleasure being here with you at the show.
Oh, and always seeing you too.
We'll probably see you next year at the new venue.
Yes.
Look for us, guys. Take care. Tony Lewis. Well, everybody, this drum show, the Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show, 25th anniversary, Jim Messina, VintageDrumsTalk.com. This show has a lot of innovation all over the place, and one of the guys is Mike Downing right here of Downing Drums. Mike, how you doing?
Good to meet you, Jim.
Finally, we're getting together to do a nice piece. You know, I checked out these Downing drums that you're talking about, and I see that you're really on to something, I believe, from what I've seen, this free-floating idea that you're talking about. I was wondering, why don't you tell the folks what you've invented here? What's the whole deal?
Well, the best put, I guess, would be Modern Drummer's remark in their November issue of Modern Drummer. And they put in that, to Mike Downing, free-floating is a 12-letter F word. Okay? And it's true because it's been used so much that it seems as if that it's lost its value. Whether it's a free-floating drum or a free-floating suspension system, it's never really clear. I learned there were only 3 criteria that you had to meet to do a free-floating drum. Number 1, the shell is suspended between the upper and lower head, only held in place by its bearing edge, in contact. The second part would be that nothing touches the shell that would kill the resonance, impede it in any way, attach to it, pierce, penetrate, so the shell can resonate freely. And the last one, which is the hard one, that you could tune the upper head and the lower head to different degrees of rigidity. In other words, a dual tension drum, not a single tension drum. That's why all the other drums have all this hardware bolted to the shell, just to get a dual tension drum. Do it without all the hardware touching the shell. That was the magic.
You know, I remember when people got into the whole idea of, you know, suspension and free-floating, and just by starting to use virgin bass drums, you know, without using tom holders and things like that. Anything to impede the resonance of that shell, and you seem to have achieved that. Why don't you show us how you do that?
Very, very simple. We got
Let's take a look over here.
All right, this is basically the components on it, and there is basically what you're saying is a principle of physics. These were patented under a principle of physics, not as a drum. What I figured out, that if you took a head and you made an intermediate hoop, the intermediate hoop on it allows us to take one head and pre-tension it, okay? So what we got over here is a head being tensioned. Kind of think of a rototom or a rototom or a tambourine, a tunable tambourine. So once we do this, we're actually tensioning that head. Now, here's what a principle of physics is. No big thing on. With that being tensioned, if I take a shell that fits inside of that mechanism completely, I mean, it's got to be around, room, so it's not touching anything at all. To ensure that we've actually taken one ply off the outer side of the shell.
I saw, yeah.
You got to remember, we're working with thousands of inches here. We want to work from the outside in, otherwise we have to make new heads, new rims, new everything. We want to use what's out there so people can use all the product that's available. That goes in there. Now that goes all the way through and it actually contacts the head over on the side. You can see how far it goes in. That rigidity allows us to put another shell on it, another head, and I'm just going to spin this on. what we're doing is we're basically going to tighten this head off the rigidity of the other head.
I see.
So in other words, let's say that other head had 40 pounds of tension on it. I can tune this from 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, up to 40 off the rigidity of that one, and then create a dual tension drum.
I see.
So, I'll show you that very quickly. Now it's funny, when I figured out how to do that, I never realized that this principle of physics released so many other principles of physics that I never even knew existed. So, that's on there.
Fantastic. This is,
now,
you got this figured out. This is great.
One tone. Different tone. Now you see how carefully I tune this drum.
Right, right.
Evenness. Both sides. Perfectly even. Now I want to change the tone of this drum. It's a little high. It's a good accent, but I want to make it a little bit lower. So I'm going to take one lug and I'm going to do that to it. All right?
That's it, and that's it. Huh.
Now, I got to put this down into the drum. And it's even all around. And
what a concept.
It's still the case.
That's amazing. You know what? I want to see what this sounds like on a whole set here. Here's the true test, you guys. Now let's see what we got here, guys. My chops, I haven't played in a while, but you know, let's just see how the concept works out, you know? He just showed you, but let's see here. We've got... Now, I haven't played in a long time, and if you've noticed, I've had deformities. Some of you may have noticed them. It's a little different for me to play. I need to be able to feel everything, and you can. There you go, Downing drums. What a new concept. The new measure of drums. Mike Downing, thanks a lot. This is a great demonstration, and I wish you luck with this new innovation. Downing drums, check them out.